Hey guys, Dr. Dusa here. It's a sad day when your dick leaves you. And many of you know this, many of you don't want to admit this, many of you are very furtive in your outreaches to people like me and others. What can I do? I'd say get your testosterone levels checked, get your blood panels done. Some of you do this, too many of you don't. This is the only way to really know. I'm going to talk a little bit about testosterone here. I'm just going to go over I can go on and on and on. I've got notes here. I don't want to forget. But just the really major important points of things you have to know because your solution exists. Unless you have some weird, rare, unheard of bodily dyscrasia, there is a way, but you've got to put in some effort. Okay. First of all, normal testosterone by age. I'm 55. You can have a guy that's 20. We can both go to the same doctor, an allopath, a medical doctor. Everybody's a good person on this planet. I believe people wake up and they want to do the right thing, but by the time they get up to when they go to bed, the wrong things seem to integrate and the job just doesn't get done. And what I'm really saying is many, many allopaths are just not well schooled in nuances and the tenets of understanding that go behind testosterone replacement therapy. And that being said, me and this young guy were both at hypothetically at the same doctor, and we're both 300 nanograms per deciliter, our levels of testosterone tested via blood test. And he says to both of us, well, you guys are within normal limits because generally the Endocrine Association of America states that normal, how can we say normal is 7.5 billion different physiologies on this planet, and they're all different. So for the sake of discussion, we'll go with that word normal, even though I don't like it. Normal is anywhere from 270 nanograms per deciliter to 1,070 nanograms per deciliter of testosterone. And since we're both 300, he tells us both, well, you guys are within normal, so you don't need any replacement therapy. Well, let's look at the 20-year-old guy. Listen, at the age of 20, that's when your hormones are raging, natural hormones. It's almost like you're on exogenously supplemented anabolic steroids. That's how high your natural hormone levels are. So how can we say that's okay if this young man is down near 300, down near being precipitously low, dangerously low? No, we've got to get him into the optimal range of anywhere from between 500 and 900 nanograms per deciliter. Same thing with me. Just because I'm an older guy, I'm 55, all 300 is fine. Well, it's really not fine. The whole idea is by doing no harm, getting those numbers into a proper physiologic window, just like when I was 21. It rejuvenates, it restores, it improves longevity, it makes you feel like fucking Hercules if you take good care of yourself. So those are the numbers, and it's a constant battle. And before we go into supplementing with testosterone, exogenous testosterone, there are some contraindications. If you've had heart attack, heart problems, cardiovascular problems, prostate problems, genitourinary problems, chronic urinary tract infections, a host of other disorders, you're not a candidate. You're potentially making things worse. And in fact, we've got problems with people who self-administer anabolic testosterone-based steroids. If you look back into the 60s and 70s, take Arnold Schwarzenegger and Frank Zane, they used anabolic steroids, but testosterone-based anabolic steroids, but what they did was they truly cycled, meaning they'd go on for 16 weeks or whatever the number was, and then they go off for a prolonged period of time. You could look at the pictures after the contests. These guys would deflate. They would look a lot smaller, still healthy, still muscular, but nothing like the profundity of muscle they carry when they're going into a show. So they give their body a break. You've got guys now on for a year, for 5 years, for 10 years, 20 years, for a lifetime. It sounds insane, but I know of some of these fellows, and there's problems that arise when you do this. One of the things that testosterone does is it increases hematocrit, increases up to 50% the number of blood cells, and there's increased clotting, there's sloughing of the blood, thickening of the blood, a slowing of the entire system. Of course, your body is very protective, so your body tells you everything's fine until your kidneys fail. Chronically high blood pressure from the administration of never-ending testosterone for years and years and years, thickens the blood, increases the blood pressure, and not only does it affect the heart, but oftentimes before that you suffer kidney failure. And when the kidneys fail, the other organs in the system work harder, so you can get multi-organal failure. So one of the irresponsible things that you hear is, steroids cause death from all the things I just mentioned. Well, they don't directly really do that. It's some of the ancillary effects, i.e. the steroids cause high blood pressure, which cause all these other systems to fail. I digress a little bit, but again, that's not something you want to do. More is not better. You just really want to get into that proper physiologic window to gain the benefit from this. So how do I diagnose this? Well, a guy will say, listen, doc, I feel terrible. I feel lousy. I'm depleted, depressed. I don't want to get off the couch. I don't have the same enthusiasm for things I've enjoyed in the past. I'm gaining fat. I'm losing muscle. I just found out that my bone density is decreased. I can't get really good erections. The volume of my ejaculate is a fraction of what it was. These are all signs of potentially having low testosterone, and then you've got to get your blood serum levels tested, and then that's what we find out, and we try to correct that. Now, there's a couple of different ways that this is done. Let's just go over two of them. There's injections, intramuscular injections, and there's also the gel that you've heard of. It's specifically androgel. Androgel is used, you take it in one time a day, you rub it into your upper arms or your shoulders, and it helps. Up to 80 to 85% of men report that their testosterone is corrected and they feel better and they go off and do all the things they want to do like they did when they were a young man. But that 15 to 20% bothers me of men who don't get any results from that. So is it the go-to? I don't know. I think better success is had with the intramuscular injections. And that usually comes in the form of every 2 weeks, an injection of either testosterone cypionate or testosterone enanthate, 100 to 200 milligrams of either or every 2 weeks. The problem with that is you have to go to the doctor every 2 weeks. Generally, they won't give you the syringes and the vial testosterone for a 10-week course to do on your own. So you've got to go in, back and forth. You've got to get your levels tested. And it's very helpful for many men. There are some men who report, they come in, they say, it's not really doing much for my erections. And a lot of doctors will say, well, listen, let's get you on Cialis, let's get you on Viagra instead. And a lot of guys will say no, because you know what? They're getting all these, they'll say, listen, doc, my golf shot is 100 yards further. I have a lot more energy. I feel great. My confidence is skyrocketed. I'm getting lean. I'm losing fat. And maybe once all those other things are corrected and you give it time, then the erections come back, because also there's potentially other underlying problems that are causing problems with the erections. It could be psychogenic, and oftentimes you'd want to undergo something called a nocturnal penile tumescence test. It's indicative of whether the lack of erections are coming from a physical problem or a mental or psychogenic problem, and it's more or less known as a sleep study. And that's how you're able to cut through the mustard and find out, is it from something that's going on here, or is it actually from my physicality? Physicality would mean you'd want the injections done, and this right here, I don't know, maybe go see a shrink or whatever it might be. I'm not too sure about that. I endorse this method, but what you have to do is you have to get your blood tests done, and you've got to be vigilant. I've had plenty of patients in the area here who have had difficulties with their medical doctors, so I send them to an endocrinologist. Endocrinologists are very high level when it comes to this. They're usually very optimistic and very agreeable to putting you on TRT if you're a candidate. So I'll leave you with that. Very basic stuff. Shoot your questions down below, because I can go into far more detail for you. But get your blood panels done. Find out where you stand. It's part of good health. It's not about being Hercules or being Arnold or anything like that. The amount of testosterone you'll be doing is not going to do that for you, but it is going to put you back into normal, desirable health indices, and you'll no longer be lonely from your dick leaving you, gentlemen, have a good day. Let me know.